1. Diana Spencer. Profession, Princess of Wales. Nationality, British. Born, July 1, 1961, died, August 31, 1997, aged 36. Birthplace, Sandringham, Norfolk, England. Diana was the wife of Prince Charles from 1981 until their divorce in 1996. Their relationship and eventual breakup drew enormous media scrutiny from around the globe. The object of worldwide press attention during and after her marriage, Diana became a media sensation. During her life she was a supporter of many charitable causes, notably landmine clearance, AIDS, and Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. On August 31, 1997 she died in a car crash in Paris. Global attention and mourning was extensive and 2 billion people tuned into her funeral on September 6. 2. Tim Horton. Profession, NHL star and businessman. Nationality, Canadian. Born, January 12, 1930, died, February 21, 1974, aged 44. Birthplace, Cochrane, Ontario, Canada. Miles Gilbert. Tim Horton was a Canadian professional ice hockey defenseman who played 24 seasons in the National Hockey League. He spent the majority of his career playing for the Toronto Maple Leafs, later playing with the New York Rangers, Pittsburgh Penguins, and Buffalo Sabres. In 2017 Horton was named one of the 100 greatest NHL players in history. He died at age 44 following a single vehicle crash in which drugs and alcohol were involved. A successful businessman, Horton co-founded Tim Hortons restaurant chain. 3. James Dean. Profession, actor. Nationality, American. Born, February 8, 1931, died, September 30, 1955, aged 24. Birthplace, Marion, Indiana, USA. James Byron Dean was an American actor with a career that lasted 5 years. His roles typified teenage disillusionment and social estrangement of his time. He had several uncredited roles from 1951 to 1953 before starring as a rebellious son attempting to win his father's approval in East of Eden 1955. In Rebel Without a Cause 1955, he portrayed a teenager struggling to make sense of his emotions, who feels frustrated with his family and social life. His last lead role was playing a Texan rancher who discovered oil and became rich, in Giant 1956. Dean died in a car crash in 1955. He became the only actor to receive 2 posthumous Academy Award acting nominations, being nominated in the Best Actor category for East of Eden and Giant. In 1999, the American Film Institute ranked him the 18th best male movie star of Golden Age Hollywood in the AFI's 100 Years 100 Stars list. 4. Jayne Mansfield. Profession, actress. Nationality, American. Born, April 19, 1933. Died, June 29, 1967, aged 34. Birthplace, Bryn Mawr, Pennsylvania, USA. Film actress Jayne Mansfield was a leading sex symbol of the 1950s and 60s and was often compared to Marilyn Monroe. Mansfield epitomized the image of the blonde bombshell with a voluptuous figure and limited intelligence, although her IQ was supposedly 163. In 1957 Mansfield received a Golden Globe Award for her role in Will Success Spoil Rock Hunter, a follow-up from her appearance in the stage show. She is also remembered for starring in the film The Girl Can't Help It, 1956, and 4, Promises, 1963, in which she became the first major film star to appear naked on screen. Mansfield was also a singer, singing in Promises, and had a top 10 UK hit. Mansfield was known for her publicity stunts, which usually capitalized on her figure, and she was one of the most photographed Hollywood celebrities of her time. In 1967 she died tragically in a car crash, which 3 of her children survived. One of them, Mariska Hargitay, has gone on to become a hugely successful TV star. 5. Paul Walker. Profession, actor. Nationality, American. Born, September 12, 1973. Died, November 30, 2013, aged 40. Birthplace, Glendale, California, USA. Paul Walker was the star of the Fast and the Furious film franchise. He was filming the 7th film, Furious 7, when he died in a car accident in 2013. The single, See You Again, by Wiz Khalifa off the Furious 7 soundtrack is a tribute to Walker. In July 2017 it became YouTube's most watched video and has recorded over 5.9 billion views. 6. Ayrton Senna. Profession, Formula 1 driver. Nationality, Brazilian. Born, March 21, 1960. Died, May 1, 1994, aged 34. Birthplace, Sao Paulo, Brazil. Widely regarded as one of the greatest Formula 1 drivers of all time, Senna won 3 Formula 1 World Championships for McLaren in 1988, 1990 and 1991, as well as a slew of other victories in various races. His death during a race in 1994 led to widespread global mourning and was considered by many Brazilians to be a national tragedy. Almost 3 million people gathered in Sao Paulo during his funeral, the largest gathering of mourners in modern times. 7. Billy Martin. Profession, baseball player and manager. Nationality, American. Born, May 16, 1928. Died, December 25, 1989, aged 61. Birthplace, Berkeley, California, USA. Martin was a controversial Major League Baseball infielder and manager whose success was most famously linked with the New York Yankees, whom he managed for 5 stints. He won 5 World Series with the Yankees, 4 as a scrappy second baseman in 1951, 1952, 1953, 1956, and once as manager in 1977. Apart from the Yankees, Martin played for 6 other clubs and managed 5 others. He had a history of being an excellent builder of teams but also one of conflict with ownership, star players, young pitchers as well as poor and erratic personal behavior away from the baseball field. 8. Grace Kelly. Profession, actress. Nationality, American Monegasque. Born, November 12, 1929. Died, September 14, 1982, aged 52. Birthplace, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. Cause of death, car crash resulting from a stroke. Golden Globe and Oscar-winning American stage and film actress who retired at age 26 to marry Prince Rainier III, the absolute monarch of Monaco. Her notable films include the western High Noon, 1952, John Ford's adventure romance, Magambo, 1953, drama, The Country Girl, 1954, 3 Alfred Hitchcock thrillers, Dial M for Murder, 1954, Rear Window, 1954, and To Catch a Thief, 1955, and the romantic comedy High Society, 1956. In return for ending her contract early with MGM Studios for her marriage, the studio received broadcast rights to both her civil and church wedding ceremonies. Worldwide viewership was estimated at 30 million. On September 13, 1982, Grace suffered a mild cerebral hemorrhage while driving and lost control of her sedan on steep, winding road and falling down the 120-foot, 37m, mountainside. Her teenage daughter Stephanie was injured in the crash. Grace died the following day. Her funeral was held in the same Monaco cathedral as her wedding. 9. Jack Johnson. Profession, World Heavyweight Boxing Champion. Nationality, American. Born, March 31, 1878. Died, June 10, 1946, aged 68. Birthplace, Galveston, Texas, USA. As the first African-American World Heavyweight Boxing Champion, Johnson is considered one of the most influential boxers of all time. He won the title from Canadian Tommy Burns in Sydney, Australia on Boxing Day, 1908, after which he was the victim of huge racist press coverage and had to face a series of fighters each billed by boxing promoters as a Great White Hope. After an 8-year reign, Johnson lost the title on April 5, 1915 when KO'd in the 26th round of a scheduled 45-round bout in Havana, Cuba by Kansas-based working cowboy Jess Willard. With money from boxing, endorsements, and business ventures, Johnson led a very high lifestyle and flouted conventions regarding the social and economic place of blacks in American society, such as marrying 3 white wives. He still boxed professionally until 1938 at age 60 when he lost 7 of his last 9 bouts. 10. Steve Allen. Profession, TV personality, comedian and composer. Nationality, American. Born, December 26, 1921. Died, October 30, 2000, aged 78. Birthplace, New York, USA. Cause of death, injury from a car accident. The son of vaudeville entertainers, Steve Allen was a radio and television writer and host who created The Tonight Show. He was the first host, from 1954 to 57, and developed many common elements of late-night talk shows. He left Tonight to devote his efforts to a primetime sketch comedy program. The Steve Allen Show featured a cast of future stars including Don Knotts, Tom Poston, Bill Dana and Pat Harrington, Jr. This series ran from 1956 to 61. In the 1956 feature film, The Benny Goodman Story, he played the title role. Through the 60s and 70s he hosted a variety of syndicated talk and game shows. In 1977 he developed an Emmy and Peabody Award-winning program called Meeting of the Minds, which featured interviews with reenactors of historic figures. Steve Allen was also a jazz pianist and prolific composer, writing over 8,000 songs by his own account. His most famous song is This Could Be the Start of Something. His attempts at creating Broadway musicals, Sophie, Belle Starr, were less successful. Allen wrote 50 books on a variety of topics from autobiography, mystery novels, children's books, and religion. He died from untreated injuries suffered in a minor car accident at 78. 11. James Weldon Johnson. Profession, writer and civil rights activist. Nationality, American. Born, June 17, 1871. Died, June 26, 1938, aged 67. Birthplace, Jacksonville, Florida, USA. Cause of death, automobile accident when the car his wife was driving was hit by a train. James Weldon Johnson displayed an extraordinary array of talent throughout his life, becoming a lawyer, diplomat, writer, poet and civil rights leader. Johnson was the first African American to pass the bar in Florida in 1897. He became American consul to Venezuela in 1906 and during that appointment wrote his novel, The Autobiography of an Ex-Colored Man, anonymously. His earlier poem, Lift Every Voice and Sing, 1899, was put to music by his brother and later became the anthem of the NAACP. Johnson is best remembered as the leader of the National Association for the Advancement of Colored People, NAACP, from 1920 to 1930, its first African-American executive secretary. In 1917 he organized a silent protest march of 10,000 people down NYC's Fifth Avenue was working for the NAACP. Johnson was also an important figure in the Harlem Renaissance, publishing his own poetry, and anthologies of others. In later years he was the first African-American professor at a New York university. 12. Mel Ott. Profession, baseball player and manager. Nationality, American. Born, March 2, 1909. Died, November 21, 1958, aged 49. Birthplace, Gretna, Louisiana, USA. Cause of death, injuries sustained in an automobile accident. Melvin Thomas Ott, nicknamed Master Melvin, was an American professional baseball right fielder, who played in Major League Baseball, MLB, for the New York Giants, from 1926 through 1947. He batted left-handed and threw right-handed. Though unusually slight in stature for a power hitter, at 5 feet 9 inches, 1.75 meters, 170 pounds, 77 kilograms, Ott led the National League in home runs a then record 6 times. He was an All-Star for 11 consecutive seasons and was the first National League player to surpass 500 career home runs. He was elected to the National Baseball Hall of Fame in 1951. 13. Heche. Profession, actress. Nationality, American. Birthplace, Aurora, Ohio, USA. Born, May 25, 1969. Died, August 12, 2022, aged 53. Cause of death, injuries sustained in a single-vehicle car crash. And Celeste Heche was an American actress, known for her roles across a variety of genres in film, television, and theater. She was the recipient of Daytime Emmy, National Board of Review and GLAAD Media Awards, in addition to nominations for a Tony Award and a Primetime Emmy. Heche began her professional acting career on the NBC soap opera Another World 1987 to 1991, earning a Daytime Emmy Award for her portrayal of twins Vicki Hudson and Marley Love. She made her film debut in 1993 with a small role in The Adventures of Huck Finn. Heche's profile rose in 1997 with appearances in Donnie Brasco, Volcano, I Know What You Did Last Summer, and Wag the Dog. In 1998 she had starring roles in the romantic adventure 6 Days, 7 Nights and the drama thriller Return to Paradise. 14. Sam Kinison. Profession, comedian. Nationality, American. Born, December 8, 1953. Died, April 10, 1992, aged 38. Birthplace, Yakima, Washington, USA. Samuel Burl Kinison was an American stand-up comedian and actor. A former Pentecostal preacher, he performed stand-up routines that were characterized by intense sudden tirades, punctuated with his distinctive scream, similar to charismatic preachers. Initially performing for free, Kinison became a regular fixture at the Comedy Store where he met and eventually befriended such comics as Robin Williams and Jim Carrey. Kinison's comedy was crass observational humor, especially towards women and dating, and his popularity grew quickly, earning him appearances on The Tonight Show starring Johnny Carson, Late Night with David Letterman and Saturday Night Live. At the peak of his career in early 1992 he was killed in a car crash, aged 38. Kinison received a Grammy nomination in 1988 for the single, Wild Thing, from his Have You Seen Me Lately? album, and a posthumous win in 1994 for Best Spoken Comedy Album, Live from Hell. 15. Albert Camus. Profession, author. Nationality, France. Born, November 7, 1913. Died, January 4, 1960, aged 46. Birthplace, Drine, Algeria. Albert Camus was a French philosopher, author, dramatist, journalist, world federalist, and political activist. He was the recipient of the 1957 Nobel Prize in Literature at the age of 44, the second youngest recipient in history. His works include The Stranger, The Plague, The Myth of Sisyphus, The Fall, and The Rebel. Philosophically, Camus' views contributed to the rise of the philosophy known as absurdism. Some consider Camus' work to show him to be an existentialist, even though he himself firmly rejected the term throughout his lifetime. 16. Jackson Pollock. Profession, painter. Nationality, American. Born, January 28, 1912. Died, August 11, 1956, aged 44. Birthplace, Cody, Wyoming, USA. Paul Jackson Pollock was an American painter. A major figure in the abstract expressionist movement, Pollock was widely noticed for his drip technique of pouring or splashing liquid household paint onto a horizontal surface, enabling him to view and paint his canvases from all angles. It was called all-over painting and action painting, since he covered the entire canvas and used the force of his whole body to paint, often in a frenetic dancing style. This extreme form of abstraction divided the critics. Some praised the immediacy of the creation, while others derided the random effects. In December 1956, 4 months after his death, Pollock was given a memorial retrospective exhibition at the Museum of Modern Art, MoMA, in New York City. A larger, more comprehensive exhibition of his work was held there in 1967. In 1998 and 1999 his work was honored with large-scale retrospective exhibitions at MoMA and at the Tate in London. 17. Peter Carl Goldmark. Profession, engineer and inventor of the LP record. Nationality, American and Hungary. Born, December 2, 1906. Died, December 7, 1977, aged 71. Birthplace, Budapest, Austria-Hungary. Peter Goldmark emigrated to America in 1936 and worked for CBS Laboratories developing new technology for broadcast and recording. After leading the successful development of the 33 1/3 RPM long-playing record, he continued to innovate at CBS. An early version of color television broadcasting was not commercially successful due to incompatibility with existing TV sets, although his equipment was used for scientific work, and by NASA. He later developed a phonograph player for automobiles that was an option in Chrysler vehicles during the 1950s. Goldmark also worked on early versions of home video recording systems, but CBS worried that it would create competition against their broadcasts. After retiring from CBS, Goldmark researched teleconferencing and remote medical consultations for rural areas. He was awarded the U.S. National Medal for Science for his lifetime of work by President Carter. 18. Lisa Lopes. Profession, rapper and singer. Nationality, American. Born, May 27, 1971. Died, April 25, 2002, aged 30. Birthplace, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. Lisa Leftite Lopes was an American rapper and singer who was a key member of the Grammy-winning R&B trio TLC, which sold more than 65 million records worldwide, making them one of the best-selling girl groups in history. Renowned for her rap verses, she also lent her songwriting talents to many of the group's hits including Waterfalls, which topped the Billboard Hot 100 chart for 7 weeks. Lopes embarked on a solo career while still a member of TLC, releasing her debut album, Supernova, in 2001. Though not released in the United States due to internal disputes with her label, the album received positive reviews and had a successful single with The Block Party. In addition to her music career, Lopes made headlines for her tumultuous personal life, including a high-profile relationship with football player Andre Rison, and especially an incident in which she accidentally burned down his mansion. Lopes' life came to a premature end in 2002 when she died in a car crash in Honduras at the age of 30. 19. Alberto Ascari. Profession, auto racer. Nationality, Italian. Born, July 13, 1918. Died, May 26, 1955, aged 36. Birthplace, Milan, Italy. Cause of death, car crash while testing after his Ferrari 750 Monza sports car skidded, turned on its nose and somersaulted twice. Alberto Ascari was an Italian racing driver and a 2-time Formula One world champion. Noted for careful precision and finely judged accuracy, Ascari was a multi-talented racer who competed in motorcycle racing before switching to cars. He won consecutive Formula One world titles in 1952 and 1953 for Scuderia Ferrari, being the team's first world champion, and the last Italian to win the title as of 2024. As of 2024, Ascari and Michael Schumacher are Ferrari's only back-to-back world champions, and Ascari remains Ferrari's sole Italian champion. As the first driver to win multiple world championship titles, he held the record for most world championship titles from 1952 to 1954, becoming one of 4 drivers to have held the record for most world championship titles. When Ascari was a young child, his father Antonio Ascari, also a famous racing driver, died in an accident at the 1925 French Grand Prix. Ascari himself was later killed during a test session for Ferrari at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza in 1955. 20. Isadora Duncan. Profession, dancer. Nationality, American. Born, May 26, 1877. Died, September 14, 1927, aged 50. Birthplace, San Francisco, California, USA. Cause of death, a car accident after her scarf became entangled in her car's wheel, pulling her under the wheel and breaking her neck. Angela Isadora Duncan was an American-born dancer and choreographer, who was a pioneer of modern contemporary dance and performed to great acclaim throughout Europe and the US. Born and raised in California, she lived and danced in Western Europe, the US and Soviet Russia from the age of 22. She died when her scarf became entangled in the wheel and axle of the car in which she was traveling in Nice, France. 21. George Hainsworth. Profession, NHL goalie. Nationality, Canadian. Born, June 26, 1895. Died, October 9, 1950, aged 55. Birthplace, Toronto, Ontario, Canada. George Henry Hainsworth was a Canadian professional ice hockey goaltender who played for the Montreal Canadiens and Toronto Maple Leafs in the National Hockey League, and the Saskatoon Crescents in the Western Canada Hockey League. He was inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame. Hainsworth won the Vezina Trophy 3 times, and in the 1928-29 season he set an all-time record with 22 shutouts and a 0.92 goals against average while only playing 44 games. He backstopped the Canadiens to back-to-back Stanley Cups in 1930 and 1931. 22. Alexander Dubček. Profession, leader of Czechoslovakia. Nationality, Slovakia-born, November 27, 1921. Died, November 7, 1992, aged 70. Birthplace, Urovec, Czechoslovakia, now Slovakia. Alexander Dubček was a Slovak statesman who served as the first secretary of the Presidium of the Central Committee of the Communist Party of Czechoslovakia, KS, de facto leader of Czechoslovakia, from January 1968 to April 1969, and as chairman of the Federal Assembly from 1989 to 1992 following the Velvet Revolution. He oversaw significant reforms to the communist system during a period that became known as the Prague Spring, but his reforms were reversed and he was eventually sidelined following the Warsaw Pact invasion in August 1968. Best known by the slogan, "Socialism with a Human Face," Dubček led a process that accelerated cultural and economic liberalization in Czechoslovakia. After the conflict, his political career progressed rapidly within the Communist Party. By 1963, he had become first secretary of the Slovak branch, from where he began to implement a series of liberalizing reforms. Dubček's vision for a more liberal form of socialism culminated in the Prague Spring in 1968. Ultimately, his reforms threatened the Soviet bloc's status quo and prompted a military intervention by the Warsaw Pact in August 1968. 23. Janet Gaynor. Profession, actress. Nationality, American. Born, October 6, 1906. Died, September 14, 1984, aged 77. Birthplace, Germantown, Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, USA. Janet Gaynor was an American film, stage and television actress as well as an accomplished oil painter. Gaynor began her career as an extra in shorts and silent films. After signing with Fox Film Corporation, later 20th Century Fox, in 1926, she rose to fame and became one of the biggest box office draws of the era. In 1929 she became the first recipient of the Academy Award for Best Actress for her performances in 3 films, Seventh Heaven 1927, Sunrise, A Song of Two Humans 1927 and Street Angel, 1928. This was the only occasion an actress won one Oscar for multiple film roles. After retiring from acting in 1939, Gaynor married film costume designer Adrian, with whom she had a son. She briefly returned to acting in films and television in the 1950s and later became an accomplished oil painter. On the evening of September 5, 1982, Gaynor sustained multiple injuries when a drunken driver, a former policeman, struck the taxicab in which she and others were passengers. The previous year the same driver was charged with 2 felonies for using his car as a deadly weapon against a woman motorist, with whom he'd argued over a parking spot, at which time he was placed on informal probation. Subsequently, the charges were dropped. In September 1984, Gaynor's injuries sustained in the collision were ruled officially to have caused Gaynor's death. 24. John Nash. Profession, mathematician and economist. Nationality, American. Born, June 13, 1928. Died, May 23, 2015, aged 86. Birthplace, Bluefield, West Virginia, USA. John Forbes Nash, Jr., known and published as John Nash, was an American mathematician who made fundamental contributions to game theory, real algebraic geometry, differential geometry, and partial differential equations. Nash and fellow game theorists John Harsanyi and Reinhard Selten were awarded the 1994 Nobel Memorial Prize in Economics. In 2015 he and Louis Nierenberg were awarded the Abel Prize for their contributions to the field of partial differential equations. As a graduate student in the Princeton University Department of Mathematics, Nash introduced a number of concepts, including Nash equilibrium and the Nash bargaining solution, which are now considered central to game theory and its applications in various sciences. In the 1950s, Nash discovered and proved the Nash embedding theorems by solving a system of nonlinear partial differential equations arising in Riemannian geometry. In 1959, Nash began showing clear signs of mental illness, and spent several years at psychiatric hospitals being treated for schizophrenia. After 1970 his condition slowly improved, allowing him to return to academic work by the mid-1980s. Nash was biographed in Sylvia Nassar's 1998 book A Beautiful Mind, and his struggles with his illness and his recovery became the basis for a film of the same name directed by Ron Howard, in which Nash was portrayed by Russell Crowe. 25. Andrew Symonds. Profession, cricket all-rounder. Nationality, Australian. Born, June 9, 1975. Died, May 14, 2022, aged 46. Birthplace, Birmingham, England, United Kingdom. Andrew Symonds was an Australian international cricketer, who played all three formats as a batting all-rounder. Commonly nicknamed Roy, he was a key member of two World Cup winning squads. Symonds was a part of the team that won both the 2003 Cricket World Cup and 4 years later, the 2007 Cricket World Cup. Symonds played as a right-handed middle-order batsman and alternated between medium pace and off-spin bowling. He was also notable for his exceptional fielding skills. After mid-2008, Symonds spent significant time out of the team due to disciplinary reasons, including alcohol abuse. In June 2009, he was sent home from the 2009 World T20, his third suspension, expulsion or exclusion from selection in the space of a year. His central contract was then withdrawn, and many cricket analysts speculated that the Australian administrators would no longer tolerate him and that Symonds might announce his retirement. Symonds eventually retired from all forms of professional cricket in February 2012, to concentrate on his family life. 26. Jim Clark. Profession, auto racer. Nationality, Scottish. Born, March 4, 1936. Died, April 7, 1968, aged 32. Birthplace, Kilmeny, Fife, Scotland, United Kingdom. James Clark OBE was a British racing driver from Scotland who won 2 Formula One World Championships in 1963 and 1965. A versatile driver, he competed in sports cars, touring cars, and in the Indianapolis 500 which he won in 1965. He was particularly associated with Team Lotus, driving for the team his entire Formula One career between 1960 and 1968. Clark was killed in a Formula 2 racing accident in April 1968 in Hockenheimring, West Germany. At the time of his death, aged 32, he had won more Grand Prix races, 25, and achieved more pole positions, 33, than any other driver. Into the 21st century, he maintained several Formula One records, such as Grand Chelem and percentage-related ones. His record of highest percentage of laps in the lead in a season was only broken in 2023. 27. Charles R. Drew. Profession, surgeon and medical researcher. Nationality, American. Born, June 3, 1904. Died, April 1, 1950, aged 45. Birthplace, Washington, D.C., USA. Charles Richard Drew was an American surgeon and medical researcher. Called the father of the blood bank. He researched in the field of blood transfusions, developing improved techniques for blood storage, and applied his expert knowledge to developing large-scale blood banks early in World War II. This allowed medics to save thousands of Allied forces' lives during the war. As the most prominent African American in the field, Drew protested against the practice of racial segregation in the donation of blood, as it lacked scientific foundation, and resigned his position with the American Red Cross, which maintained the policy until 1950. 28. Herb Brooks. Profession, ice hockey player and coach. Nationality, American. Born, August 5, 1937. Died, August 11, 2003, aged 66. Birthplace, St. Paul, Minnesota, USA. Herbert Paul Brooks was an American ice hockey player and coach. His most notable achievement came in 1980 as head coach of the gold medal-winning U.S. Olympic team at Lake Placid. At the Games, Brooks' American team upset the heavily favored Soviet team in a match that came to be known as the Miracle on Ice. Brooks also coached multiple National Hockey League (NHL) teams, as well as the French team at the 1998 Winter Olympics. He ultimately returned to coach the U.S. men's team to a silver medal at the 2002 Winter Olympics in Salt Lake City. When Brooks died in a car accident in 2003, he was the director of player personnel for the Pittsburgh Penguins. Brooks was inducted into the United States Hockey Hall of Fame in 1990 and the IIHF Hall of Fame in 1999. He was honored posthumously with the Wayne Gretzky International Award in 2004 and inducted into the Hockey Hall of Fame in 2006. 29. Michael King. Profession, historian and author. Nationality, New Zealand. Born, December 15, 1945. Died, March 30, 2004, aged 58. Birthplace, Wellington, New Zealand. Michael King was a New Zealand historian, author and biographer. Although not himself Maori, he was known for his knowledge of Maori culture and history, and for his writing in an accessible way that resonated with the public. King wrote, co-wrote and edited more than 30 books on a variety of New Zealand-related topics. These included The Penguin History of New Zealand, which went on to be a bestseller, and biographies of influential figures like Te Pui Harangi, Weena Cooper, Frank Sargeson, and Janet Frame. King had 2 children with his first wife Rose, filmmaker Jonathan King and novelist Rachel King. He received numerous honors and awards, including being appointed an Officer of the Order of the British Empire in 1988, winning multiple New Zealand Book Awards. In 2003, King was named New Zealander of the Year in 2003 by the New Zealand Herald and won the Prime Minister's Award for Literary Achievement in Nonfiction. King died in a car accident in 2004 along with his second wife Maria Jungowska. Ben Weldon, profession, racing car driver, nationality, British, born, June 22, 1978 died, October 16, 2011, aged 33, birthplace, Buckinghamshire, England, United Kingdom, cause of death, multi-car crash during a challenge race at the season-ending IndyCar World Championship at Las Vegas Motor Speedway. Daniel Clive Weldon, June 22, 1978 to October 16, 2011, was a British motor racing driver who won the 2005 IndyCar Series Drivers' Championship for Andretti Green Racing, AGR. He won the Indianapolis 500 in 2005 and 2011, and was co-winner of the 2006 24 Hours of Daytona with Chip Ganassi Racing, CGR. Weldon began competitive karting at the age of 8 and achieved early success, before progressing to open-wheel car racing in the USF 2000 National Championship, the Toyota Atlantic Championship and Indy Lights. He began driving in IndyCar with Panther Racing in 2002. The following year, Weldon moved to AGR, finishing as runner-up in the 2004 championship. He won the driver's title in 2005 with the record for most victories, including that year's Indianapolis 500, during a season. In the 2006 season, he moved to CGR, tying Sam Hornish Jr. in points but finishing second because of countback on the number of victories taken by both drivers. During the 2007 and 2008 seasons, Weldon's form lowered but he won 4 additional races to place 4th overall in both years. He won his second Indianapolis 500 in May of that year. At the season-ending IZOD IndyCar World Championship at Las Vegas Motor Speedway, Weldon was killed in a collision with a fence post alongside the circuit on the race's 11th lap. He was 33 years old and the first driver to die in IndyCar competition since Paul Dana in 2006.